From the Associated Press, this is an Election 2024 update. Live from Washington, here is Meg Kennard.
Welcome back. This is a breaking alert that has just moved on the AP wire. The Associated Press has called the battleground state of Georgia for Republican Donald Trump. That adds another 16 electoral votes to the Republicans' total. It's also the second of the 7 battleground states that AP has called tonight for Trump. The other 5 remain outstanding at this hour and are too early to call. As you can see on the live voting map next to me, that brings Donald Trump's electoral vote total to 246 and Kamala Harris to 210. Back with me, as he is all night, is Sagar Magani. Okay, Sagar, we've got our second of these battleground calls. What are you telegraphing in this? What do we see?
Well, when you look at that number, 246 for Donald Trump, that puts him 24 electoral votes away from being declared the winner of this race. When you look at Pennsylvania with 19 and some of these other battlegrounds that you mentioned, he is easing toward that. The Harris campaign had said just before we called this race that there are too many races too close to call. All the votes have to be counted, and that the vice president herself would not be speaking at their victory rally / party event tonight at Howard University here in Washington, her alma mater. So the mood clearly dispirited there as people began just flooding out of that.
Yeah, we saw that
games.
in our live pictures here.
Just
people just
flocking
leaving,
away from there once they were told that the vice president would not be appearing. So a dour mood among Democrats, but a whole lot of happy people at Mar-a-Lago, where Donald Trump is supposed to address his supporters.
Right, and we will keep our eyes on our images coming in from all of his supporters gathered. Thank you for that, and we will bring you more AP race calls and election night updates as this evening goes on. Thank you, and stay tuned.
That would be the first time a Republican presidential candidate has taken this county since 1988. And these suburbs of Philadelphia, this is what pushed Biden over the edge in 2020. Harris needs to do well in these counties if she stands to have a chance of taking this state, guys. Brett, Martha?
Alex, thank you. So let's go to Bill and see, what are you cooking up over there, Bill?
You know, I was just looking at New York. You know, we heard so much about MSG and the insult comic about the Puerto Rican joke. And, you know, Trump, you know, New York's his home, right? I mean, now living in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. But just look at this. I'm going to go ahead and use the slide bar and just, okay, 8 years ago when he's running against Hillary Clinton, this is his margin in New York, all right? 37.5 compared to almost 59 for Hillary Clinton. And then against Joe Biden, it was, what? Was it? Oh, my gosh. It was 0.3 of a point, all right? And now we come to 2020 and see the numbers on the board here. That's a pretty decent performance. And we're just getting some insight here in the New York City. He did well over 40% of the vote here in New York as well. One thing I was checking out here, guys, in this is the number, right? Path to 270. I guess in theory right now, if you were to close out, you know, you're at 248. If you were to close out Pennsylvania, and even though Alaska has ranked choice voting, which could take a while to post a number here, nonetheless, that would put him right at the number at 270. So even around the blue wall, that's possible, too. That goes back to the argument that we've been talking about for some time now, that Trump had more paths to the Oval Office than Harris did. Let's go check out Pennsylvania one more time.
Like you, that's what's happening. Now, take this, put it all back in this.
presidential election.
Understood.
That's why I said that. That's why I understand that.
appreciate everything you guys have done. We've been a great team. I appreciate it. You guys make our job easy. We're finishing up. And we will not leave without you.
Well, is heading over to the Trump headquarters where there are a few thousand people who have gathered for this evening. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Obviously, when he shows up there, we will take you there live.
Well, those guys had two Make America Great hats on.
I saw someone with a
front,
really large
back.
one. Yeah.
As we look now at what we have, Pennsylvania. Is this a call, ladies and gentlemen? We are now projecting that Donald J. Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania. Former President Donald J. Trump. About Pennsylvania. Now, former President Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania, and we can make that call, the 19 electoral votes. That puts him at 267, not officially over the 270, but the path that it takes to get to 270, he is well on his way to becoming the 47th president of the United States in what is going to be the biggest political phoenix from the ashes story that we have.
Cleveland was not the subject of a Russia investigation, 2 impeachments, 2 assassination attempts. They have indictments, 91 indictments, convictions, and there is almost nothing that hasn't been thrown at this former president. And his tenacity in wanting to go back and run again, which he announced immediately after he lost in 2020. This is a huge historic moment in the United States of America as the former President Trump is closing in with just a few electoral votes away now from clinching 270 as Pennsylvania is called for Donald Trump.
We're looking live, 1:21 a.m. in the morning at Trump headquarters, and the cheers coming up. We're told the former president is there, as well as J.D. Vance, Senator J.D. Vance. They are getting ready to hear from former President Donald Trump. Again, at 267, not there yet, but looking at where that vote is in Wisconsin, where the vote is in Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and in Arizona, where the vote is in Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and in Arizona. There is no path, Britt Hume, for Vice President Harris, and just 30,000 feet. What this means.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when Richard Nixon was declared dead in 1962.
But looking at where that vote is in Wisconsin, where the vote is in Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and in Arizona, where the vote is in Michigan, where the vote is in Nevada and in Arizona, there is no path, Britt Hume, for Vice President Harris, and just 30,000 feet down. What this means.
He campaigned so energetically, ruthlessly, fiercely, and with more joy than Kamala Harris. And it was so clear that Joe Biden was not going to be able to go the distance. If Joe Biden were still on the ticket tonight, who knows what tonight might have even looked like.
To my eye,
that he has been able to accomplish this, it is nothing short of astonishing and amazing. And also I think about Susie Wiles, who's his campaign manager, very quiet, does not like the limelight. Chris LaCivita, who works on it. He campaigned so energetically, stuck by Trump, ruthlessly, no matter what was said about him. They were called every name with more joy than and Nazis. And it was so clear that Joe Biden was not going to be able to go the distance. If Joe Biden were still on the ticket rally tonight, who knows what tonight might have even even look like. Said that if Donald Trump is elected again, basically it is nothing short of astonishing and amazing. And also I think about Susie Wiles. That's obviously not true, although I'll be surprised tomorrow if there's a big line at JFK of Hollywood celebrities leaving the country, as I said they were going to. This is the greatest country, no matter what was said about him. There will be so many opportunities for lots of deal-making. I think President Trump will be in the mood, but he also has a huge to-do list. Biden and Harris have left a mess. His closing argument was, she broke it, I will fix it. I said that if Donald Trump is elected again, basically he's got a big to-do list, but America thrives on it. And you saw that through the whole campaign. That's obviously not true, although I'll be surprised tomorrow if there's a big line at JFK of Hollywood celebrities leaving the country, as I said they were going to. This is the greatest country, and there will be so many opportunities for lots of deal-making. I think President Trump will be in the mood, but he also has a huge to-do list. Biden and Harris have left a mess. His closing argument was, she broke it, I will fix it. And she talked about having a to-do list. He's got a big to-do list, but he thrives on it. And you saw that through the whole campaign.
He is, I think, enthusiastic about doing the job of being President, Harold, and it is just an it is just an absolutely remarkable. I think if you wrote this as a movie script, people would say this could never happen in the United States of America.
He's a single, I've said this before, he's the single greatest political athlete I've ever seen. And tonight he proved why. I said some things and did some things that I didn't quite understand that I thought maybe detracted from it. But tonight obviously proves that too. He also ran a traditional campaign. He connected with voters on issues. He talked about the things that mattered most to voters. And Democrats said he didn't talk about them in the most full-throated way, he didn't talk about it in the most wholesome way, didn't talk about it in the most wholesome way, didn't talk about it in the most comprehensive way, but he connected with voters. I would let us not be critical of people for voting for President Trump. He did something clear here shortly once Alaska comes in. Don't write off the American people. Let us not be critical of people for voting for President Trump. He did something we didn't do in this campaign. We had to reevaluate, reassess. Mr. Wonderful said it a little earlier that may give us an opportunity as a party to revamp, and perhaps we should think about that. But don't write off the people, the American people, for the decision they made this evening.
Charlie Hurt, he will be the 47th president of the United States after everything that we saw in this election. It's hard to understand how some in the mainstream media are going to take this, because it was so over the top one way that they thought it was done. There was a landslide prediction from a lot in the media that she was going to have the landslide. It looks like he's going to have the landslide tonight.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. You know, the revolution rolls on, and this is not just a victory for the White House tonight, but also, this is the end of the old Republican Party, which, of course, Donald Trump took on. That was the first thing that he did. The very first thing that he did in 2015 was take on the old Republican Party. He has completely reshaped the Republican Party. The Republican Party is no longer doesn't stand for a lot of the things that it stood for before. He has made it a far more middle class, working class, a far more practical party, I think probably a far more durable party, and he's figured out how to win with that. And you can't help but think that with this victory, in 4 years from now, he's going to have the mantle that he can hand to the next Republican. So I don't know how Republicans ever go back to the old party that they were. But it is truly extraordinary, and it is all by the force of one guy, one man who had the fortitude, the strength, the vision, the refusal to accept anything, all of the experts counting him out, and he just kept on fighting and fighting and fighting.
Charlie, it would have been one thing.
on you, go on the front.
She's right. Oh, she is. Let me tie my shoe.
guys over on the same subject?
Yeah.
Out.
Thank you.
I'm still live right now, so I have to do my editors like 5-10 minutes. Okay. Before you turn off. Okay. Yeah, probably because I roll.
Oh, you're our AP stringer.
So, yeah. Yes. Or I'm not a stringer, but.
Oh, AP.
Yeah, she's an AP. I'm a video. She's a stringer. Yeah.
You're the AP stringer.
Okay. I will be out.
I met somebody who I spoke at a neighborhood association. He said that you were on assignment because he was in Nevada.
Oh.
He lives in my neighbor. He's my neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you guys a very funny story. So I went to school for journalism. I was a print reporter for a long time. I actually founded the Denver Monster here in town. But back in the day when I was in college in Pennsylvania, I was an AP stringer. And I always joke with people, I was like, that was back when I had a dial-up modem, and they were like, reporting everything like the minutes, right? And so you would have to sit there and hit like refresh, and then your whole dial-up modem would go through the whole screen. And I was like, this is insane. It's so slow, and we'd be like so freaking out about it. And like, then you dial up and go through the whole process again, and everything got to do it because they didn't used to tell us like when the next result was coming. It was just like, we just never knew. It was like, you're not gonna get so many just keep doing it all the time.
It was insulting, but at the same time, like in some ways, I'm like, hopefully we'll be able to call.
Have we come that far?
Some things are still just quite funky.
Pennsylvania is still actually.
You could see the House go Republican as well, and that would be part of the story as well. Let's go out to Trace on the west coast of his panel.
Yeah,
Thank you as well. We've got our
it's an adventure.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll get out of here soon.
No problem. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up before.
Everybody goes.
struck by the whole concept that, again, Trump was on this council.
So this is the third consecutive polling miss in a presidential cycle for Donald Trump. And we really need to be asking ourselves, why do they keep getting it wrong? And at this point, it is a choice. Back in 2016, you could argue that you were blindsided, you didn't expect it. You cannot say that anymore. This was predictable from the very start. And I think the reason they keep getting it wrong is because they still don't understand the average Trump voter. They cannot wrap their heads around why so many people support him. And it's because for a long time, actually for the past decade or so, Democrats in power didn't think they needed to. And even worse, they didn't want to. They didn't want to have to stoop down to understand the concerns over immigration, over the economy. And guess what? The American people sent a very clear message tonight that you better start paying attention, and you better start paying attention soon.
We heard a lot of words, demographic. I don't know how many times we heard it, Steve Hilton, but Gianna, you talk about black voters, black male voters especially. We heard it again and again tonight, and you think it's worth talking about.
I think this is a historic night. Black men will now, those who voted for Trump will be counted as those who helped save America from further decline. I mean, Kamala Harris has tried her best to create these accents like, you better thank a union member, all of these things that she's done to try to appeal to this community, even going on Oprah Winfrey's talk show or whatever that was to say, oh, I'll pull out my gun and shoot someone that tries to come into my house. I mean, this has become nonsensical to the point that I don't know if we're looking at Medea runs for president or not. I mean, this is outstanding what has happened from the black male perspective, and I hope the Republican Party takes note.
Yeah, and you talk about young males and younger voters, Jody Armour. You're a law professor at the University of Southern California. You know what young people are geared into. Are you surprised when you see
Democratic campaign of the Harris campaign suggested that just yesterday. Now it is possible that Donald Trump runs the table with these states and builds on a big landslide electoral win. We don't know where the popular vote is going to finish out, but we do know that he will be going back to the White House, and with him, Brit Hume, will be a lot of changes because he will have been there once and will know what he wants to do.
You know, he often accounts for the fact that he had so much turnover in his first term, in his term as president, by the fact that he He didn't really know Washington, and he was new to this realm that he had come to win the presidency in, and he promises us that now he knows whom he wants to hire. Now he knows the kind of people he wants to have around him. A lot of people are saying that means a lot of very experienced people around Washington will be ruled out, and maybe they will. But it's going to be very interesting to see the kind of people he reaches out to and reaches out for in the days and weeks ahead as he builds his administration.
We're joined by Kayleigh McEnany, Trey Gowdy, and Katie Pavlich. Kayleigh, you've been a part of the last administration. You've seen you can see the joy on all these people's faces. Think about the angst and the, all that this campaign has been through. And now there is the prospect of creating what you want to create in a second administration. Your thoughts, 30,000 feet of this win.
Indictments, 2 assassination attempts, an unlikely come-from-behind victory, and history is made tonight. This is a huge moment, particularly because this is a tectonic shift of the Republican Party. If all of this exit polling is true, you now have black voters, Latino voters, young voters coming in a way that we haven't seen the party bring in a very long time, and that's due to former President, now soon-to-be current President Trump. And I just want to say this as we wait for him to come out. I remember having a conversation with Ivanka Trump in 2016 about his remarks, and before he went out to give those remarks, he had speech A and speech B. Speech A was a more boisterous Trumpian speech. Speech B was a speech full of unity. And he looked up, Ivanka said, saw the faces of crying Hillary voters. He ripped up the boisterous speech and said he wanted to heal the nation. And the first words he said were an appreciation for Hillary Clinton, for her service to our country. And then he said, now it is time for America to bind the wounds of division. And he said, we are a party of all races, creeds, and religions. That is more true tonight than it was 8 years ago. And I fully expect President Trump right now is maybe ripping up that more boisterous speech and preparing to unite the country.
It's an amazing message.
I hope Kayleigh's right. I hope you're right. And we're going to get a chance to see here in a minute. Trey Gowdy said something on your show the other day about how one of the things that you hope also is they're a little more prepared this time. They've got a great transition team, and they're going to need it. And I hope that there are a lot of people who want to go in and be helpful.
Trey?
Yeah, I think his transition team has done a wonderful job vetting potential candidates. And to Kayleigh's point, I think a liberated Donald Trump, he's never going to be on the ballot again. This is his last term. I think, Harold, he will surprise his detractors. I think he will be not anything like what his detractors have described him as being now that he is liberated. If I'm wrong, you can hold me to that.
I hope you're right.
I think he will. A liberated Donald Trump is going to shock his detractors.
He has said that the assassination attempts had an impact on him. We saw him in many ways return to the very rough and tumble style that we've seen in Donald Trump towards the end of this. But now he will take the stage tonight as the next president of the United States, and he will not be able to run again.
Yeah.
And I think that is another liberating factor potentially for President Trump. Katie.
We'll never underestimate the power of unfinished business. This is a president who has caught lightning in a bottle twice, and the second time around, he now has a MAGA mandate. He will have a Senate that he can use to push through his cabinet appointees, who can work with him on legislation, who could potentially replace a number of justices on the Supreme Court.
Who could build a wall.
He could build a wall. He has a working group in Washington, D.C. We'll see what happens with the House. But he also has been working very hard on his transition, get the right people around him. He talks about the lessons he's learned about the first time in the White House. So this is a mandate tonight for him. And I think you should get a lot of credit for doing the work on the ground, going to these states to pull these Senate candidates across the line with him.
Britt, what do you think the analysis is going to be? There's going to be a lot of time to digest all of this. We're focused now on what the incoming president is going to say. What do you think the analysis is going to be on the Democratic Party and what went wrong there?
Well, I think it's going to be, agonizing. I think it's going to take a little while for a consensus to form about what the party needs to do next, or what it did wrong this time. It'll be grudging at first. One can certainly imagine that, if the party were smart and shrewd political voices were heeded, that there'd be some major changes in their agenda and their approach in this and you think of the issue sets that they tried to run on against this man that failed, they need to reconsider all of that. And I think it'll take a while. Now, our colleague and friend Mark Halperin, who's been very astute this particular cycle, he thinks there's going to be blood in the streets and people are going to be hysterical. I hope not, but it could happen.
Dana?
I am really looking forward to reading some of the stories, probably with a lot of anonymous sources amongst Democrats with the recriminations, and it's going to be fast and furious, and you will have people saying that Joe Biden should have dropped out the day after, not dropped out, but said he was not running for re-election on the day after that midterm in 2022, and either endorsed her or said, let there be a primary, and Dr. Jill Biden, there will be thoughts about her, and I wonder how chilly that White House is going to be for the next 90 days as they try to figure it out.
And let me just say that as Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris will certify the election results on January 6th.
A lot of irony in that moment. Harold, your thoughts?
This is how our country is organized, and it's a great education, I think, for people who had very high passions in this race. There are Democrats who were fervently for Joe Biden. He performed poorly during a debate, and the party switched to Kamala Harris, and there was genuine excitement, I think, built over a period of time. And some of that excitement was an aversion and almost a dislike and a disdain for Donald Trump. But I hope it's a moment that we can all grow from, because if we don't, not in a selfish, partisan way, Democrats won't progress. And I don't think you can fly and soar as a great country unless you have both wings working together. And President Trump, tonight, I'm going to be interested in that tone, Kayla. I was reminded of your words, reminded of what you said as you shared it. I remembered that story. And I hope and pray for the country tonight that President Trump, who has every right to be joyful, every right to celebrate, will give a speech with that tone tonight that in many ways could help him do all of the things that he campaigned on in this campaign.
What does this mean for the never-Trumpers, the Republicans, and the Lincoln Project people, and Bill Kristol, and people like that who seem to abandon everything they'd ever previously believed in order to oppose Donald Trump?
Kellyanne?
We'll get to the never-Trumpers soon enough, and the hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on them. Look, Donald Trump won this on policy and personality. I don't want to be remiss here. He is talking about energy independence, manufacturing, an economy where everybody is working, no new foreign wars, getting out of the entanglements we currently have, respecting and resourcing law enforcement, border patrol, military. And by the way, friends, we don't get those policies without that personality. What did we hear during the Republican primaries? I want Donald Trump's policies without his personalities. Good luck with that. You don't get this strength and this resolve and this toughness. You don't get those policies without that. But I want to say this. It's on this phone that Huma Abedin placed the call 2:30 a.m. on November 9th, 2016. And on the other line was Secretary Clinton to concede the race to Donald Trump on my phone. I handed it to him, and I said to Vice President-elect Mike Pence, make sure Hillary actually concedes. She did. And President Trump was gracious to them, too. Yep. They came to the luncheon at the Capitol after the inauguration. The Obamas and the Clintons were there. I was there to see it myself. And then something just changed. The Washington Post said, let's impeach him at noon, 2 minutes after he's inaugurated. Melania wrote about this in her book. So, Harold, I hear you. I hope everybody can unify. But I got to tell you, my friend, I think it starts with your party and not mine.
Fair enough.
They had this guy in a courtroom. He's not an indoor cat. I get it. They had him in a courtroom. They have him impeached. They have him. And whether people think that was justified or not, now is a good time to respect the will of the people. Forget about us, the will of the people.
I agree with you. I'm just saying be a gracious winner and let's move the country forward. I agree. And I know you will. That was my only point.
I heard a gracious winner today when I talked to him. I really did. He's known for a while. He was going to. I wrote a piece on FoxNews.com October 11th saying he's going to have a narrow landslide. I think he's felt that for a while, but he wanted to go and earn it.
And I even think the people around him have to be gracious, too. I think he will. I don't know him as well as you, but I hope the people around him can be gracious as well.
That's a different question.
We can always hope.
Yeah, well, that comes from the top.
Once more, I just want to say how much money was spent on this election. $15.9 billion worth of bill.
Wow.
be if you spend $1,000 a day for 2,740 years, that would be $1 billion. It was 16 times that. What has been spent on every race, the presidency, the whole deal. $16 billion. And here we are.
What is that, a check you can write to for every American? What did you say?
About $50. It's about 40.
But I just want to say, every presidential race has a medium. You know, you go back to television, cable. Yeah. This was, in some ways, a podcast experience of a campaign. And those are free to go on podcasts. And you wonder how much of that money really needed to be spent when there's a lot of ways to reach people. But I think it's really interesting and something we'll be talking about a lot in terms of the reach of these endorsements.
You know what I was struck by? The final
and Musk and the rest of them.
The final ads where they
were excellent.
They talked about making America great again, but then ending with the assassination attempt and that fist in the air, the iconic image, and the fight, fight, fight.
Absolutely.
Warrior president.
And it worked.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, toughest son of a gun we ever saw. And that was the last note we see in that ad. And I think, I think for whatever you think of the guy, you got to admire that.
Yep.
I mean, the adversity that he's faced, everything we've seen in other presidencies and other political figures who've gone on through all kinds of trouble are pale in comparison to what he's been put through.
No,
maybe it's time for his enemies to stop it.
Not only that, but the energy that he has is truly amazing. He's the Energizer Bunny. Let's check in with Aisha Hasni. Speaking of the Energizer Bunny.
Of us, the press corps that have been following him around now for more than a year, the crowd went absolutely nuts when Fox News called it here, and people were hugging each other. They were high-fiving each other here, and people were hugging each other. They were high-fiving each other. That people were on FaceTiming. I think they were just couldn't believe it that this happened tonight, and they didn't have to wait days and days and days. We are now awaiting the former president to take the podium. He is here in the building, as is his running mate, now Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. They're backstage. We were told they were going to come out as soon as the election was called, and so now we're just waiting. We asked for a 2-minute warning. I don't know if we're going to get one, but hopefully we will see him soon. And so I just want to add a little bit of perspective, just as a Capitol Hill reporter that's been covering the former president for a while. When I came to Congress 3 years ago, talked privately with many powerful Republicans who did not want to see the former president back in Washington, and then to see the legal battles that he went through and Republicans having to stand up for him. And then he went through the primary process. As Kellyanne Conway just said, he earned it state by state by state, and then came back to Washington in the spring and went to the RNC and claimed the nomination. This is the greatest comeback that I've ever witnessed personally myself. And so I look forward to seeing what he says to the country here tonight and to his supporters. Back to you.
Aisha, thank you. The Harris team is now texting to say Vice President Harris will speak tomorrow, and that will be her response to the election results. That's all we have from the Harris team, which is really strange. I mean, from a PR perspective, Dan?
No, I also just think it's a shame, because I remember when John Kerry did this to George W. Bush in 2004, and you work so hard, and I know that they're disappointed, but you should concede and let your opponent have their election night, and let everybody that's there at Trump, at Mar-a-Lago, where are they? They're in Palm Beach.
They're in West Palm, at the convention center.
At the convention center, let them have their moment without anyone. I remember Andy Card had to come in and say, well, yes, we know we won, but we have to wait until John Kerry concedes, and then we all had to traipse back in the next morning and wait, and you don't get that moment. I don't think it's right. And
that's not to say there's not going to be a phone call. There could be a phone call tonight, but she's not going to speak publicly.
If there's a phone call, they have to make it public. And then nobody needs to hear from her. So if I were her, I would do it tonight.
I mean, they had that whole setup in front of Howard University.
Yes, all of her people were already there.
Everybody was there, and it does feel like you want to just collect the moment and do it the way that people used to.
They were holding out hope. They were holding out hope that the blue wall could somehow come together, but it's going to be a red wall.
90 minutes before that, they were told to go to bed.
Yeah. I got that text.
90 minutes before all of this, Jen O'Malley Dillon, the Harris campaign person, said everyone can go to bed and come back tomorrow. So
She didn't even address her own supporters. We want her to call President Trump. She didn't talk to the people who were assembled there for hours for her. It just seems very ungracious. By the way, it ended up being a very bad split screen. You probably couldn't see it in here, but they're filing out, and he's expanding his folks, and they're all excited for him. Look, I think that Kamala Harris was a sign of the times, but I think that Trump's a metaphor for the country. And when he says we don't surrender, fight, 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 we get back up. I just think I think that's what it is. The other thing I just want to say, maybe it's as a Catholic, maybe it's just as a Trump supporter, maybe it's just as a flawed human being. We all get second chances in this life. Rarely do we get a second chance as big as this one. And I have got to believe the man that I know and that Kayleigh worked with is going to work with a certain alacrity and energy to get things done very quickly. What he can do through executive order, what he could do with the Congress, bringing in the governors. Nobody gets a second chance this big in their lives and just puts it on the shelf like it's a trophy or a gold star. He's going to use that as a platform for good and undo some of these bad policies, and I think do even better. You know, these celebrities, these athletes, he's got job creators and innovators. He's got Elon Musk and Dana White. He's got people who make stuff, who people say, wow, there's an American success story, and he's going to bring them aboard.
So Vice President Harris has now encountered what is known as the Van Buren curse. It's the failure of the vice president to get to the presidency. Only two have done it, and that is Martin Van Buren in 1836 and George H.W. Bush in 1988. You know, the question is what the Republican Party looks like now. And Kayleigh, it's a multiracial party, to your point. It's working class, and maybe it's the future. I mean, it's Elon Musk. It is Joe Rogan and podcast. It is, you know, there's an opportunity here on both parties to realign and change.
There are going to be a lot of conversations that go on to that end. Who is the next standard bearer for President Trump? Is it J.D. Vance? Is he the one who picks up the torch after a 4-year legacy-defining term with the success that Kellyanne's describing? Is it J.D. Vance that picks it up? There's going to be a conversation about ground game. I mean, Kamala Harris over the weekend, they were saying they were knocking 1,000 doors a minute, and I have no reason to doubt that. It was an extraordinary ground game, but do ground games matter as much as podcasts, as much as real, authentic, viral moments like President Trump on the garbage truck or, you know, President Trump at McDonald's, these viral moments that really captured the attention of the nation? And what does the Republican Party look like going forward? It's a broad coalition. It's an exciting coalition. And I think if President Trump manifests that working man agenda, no tax on tips, no, you know, limit on credit card interest rate, that's a working man's economic agenda. And if he makes that happen in 4 years, this party may look like this for quite some time.
You know, I'm struck when you're talking about the authenticity part of this, because when I think about him with the French fries at McDonald's and standing up with blood on his face, fight, fight, fight. You can't fabricate. No, you know, consultant can create those moments, Trey. Those are organic and they are authentic. And I think that that is something that Kamala Harris fell really far short on in terms of the authenticity measure.
Yeah, if you had told me that a billionaire from New York would be able to connect with middle America, I would have questioned that. To my friend, the gentleman from Tennessee, autopsies are painful, especially when the patient's still alive. I wonder what the Democrat Party is going to go through in the next weeks and months, because this was a loss that I don't think anyone saw coming, not to this magnitude. So what does the autopsy look like if you're a Democrat? It's painful, but you have to have one. How did you lose, and how did you lose this soundly?
The easiest way to do it for them would be to simply say, if Joe Biden hadn't clung to the job, clung to the nomination, and hidden his condition with a lot of help, they could have had an open nominating process and gotten a more attractive nominee
but I don't know
who would have been freer to walk away from Biden policies and would have had a better shot. I mean, I think that's the easiest, simplest solution. But I'm not sure that's where they'll go. But that makes sense.
I don't think you can pass over an African American female, which is a very loyal constituency for the Democrat Party. I don't see how they could have passed over.
But if he'd left the office and she'd run, she would have been put through a different process and would have had competition, and the whole thing would have been different.
Against her.
You know?
But I mean, but Harold, you have a Democratic Party that's pretty old. I mean, you have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden.
You got Andy Bashir, you got Josh Shapiro, you got Gretchen Whitmer.
That's a different kind of Democrat, and that is not the progressive Democrat that wins in a primary. So is it going to be a change in your party?
Well, we nominated Bill Clinton and a Barack Obama who were not from that
the old days
party. So I think we'll do that. Look, tonight, what happened this evening and what's happened over the last year has been described. There were those on this panel who didn't believe that this resurrection could have occurred. So if this can happen, things are possible in politics if you're willing to change and willing to have courage and determination. And whatever Democrats or anybody want to say about this guy who's been elected our president, he personifies that courage and determination and persistence. So I think, Trey, you were asking a serious question, and Britt gave a very serious answer. I think that's going to be part of the answer. And we've got to look long and hard about whether or not the way we campaign sometimes with identity politics at the end, is that the right way to do it? But before you get there, you got to get a purpose and a message. And we'll get there. We've got a long history of figuring these things out as a nation, as a party, and we'll figure it out this time.
So the carnage speech got a lot of attention at the inauguration. Do we think that?
Oh yeah.
This speech.
I was going way back.
We're actually told that the teleprompters have been removed from the stage, so we could be in for a long haul here. We don't know. But what do you think? He's coming, but there may not be teleprompters.
I'm saying he goes off the teleprompter anyway. But he, the other night at the Al Smith dinner, he was upset that there were teleprompters, because he doesn't want to use them. So.
Right. So, Dana, what does this speech look like?
This one right now?
Yeah.
I think look, I don't know. He's one of the most unpredictable people, too. So I think that's why we're all here, and I'm wide awake, and I've been awake for almost 24 hours now. And I am curious to see. I think I wasn't just thinking about this speech. I'm thinking about the inauguration speech, which would be 8 years since Carnage speech. He has a wide range of the types of speeches that he can give. If you think even within a speech, there's range. If you think about the RNC convention, it started off with like, oh, wow, yeah. And then after a while, I was like, wow, he's still talking. And it was like so long, and it kind of got off script, and people thought, oh, he kind of lost opportunity. But he didn't. I think if you look at these people who would take off work, drive somewhere in the middle of the night to go and get in line, to wait for hours, to then stay at a rally for hours. And part of the things he has done as well is created this camaraderie amongst people so that you could go to a place where you're not afraid to wear your red MAGA hat, and you could say, I'm not the crazy one. I'm not the only one who thinks the way that I do. I can actually have friends. And that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be outreach to the other side. I believe in love thy neighbor. I love all of that. But he has created something special here. So I kind of want him to take a victory lap tonight. I don't think this is necessarily the moment for unity, especially when she won't even concede and give him the night to celebrate.
Yeah. Kellyanne, you were looking at the popular vote. He's still up, and could finish up.
And part of it is because he did run up the totals in places I was looking at, even the rural counties in Pennsylvania. He was going to win them by significant double digits, but he won them that much more. I think running up the totals in Florida, which was a swing state not that long ago, over 1.1 million votes or so. Kaylee, right, your home state. And this is, look, I think that when the Democrats take a look at this candidacy, it's not going to be, did she have too much time, not enough time? She's just a flawed candidate. She doesn't speak well. She doesn't work hard. I'm not being mean or partisan. I don't know why the country would have rewarded this candidate with the big job when she couldn't make the case what she does as vice president that affects our lives in a positive way. She was given that opportunity. I personally like to thank the women of The View tonight for asking this question, for having her on. Oprah, we see you, and so on and so forth. People who thought they were doing her a favor because they made her something she's not. It's the opposite for Trump. They make him something he's not. Take that one word, take that one line, take that cherry pick this, that, and the other. You never get the essence. I go back, does everybody remember 5 years ago, so Laurel and Yanny, or what color dress? You hear Laurel, I hear Yanny. You see a blue dress, I see a yellow dress. We were all looking at the same thing. That's the way Donald Trump is in this country. There are people who look exactly the same person, and they see two different vistas. I think it's time that we try to see one. Look, I don't know who said it earlier. I'm a little worried about the reaction of the Democrats and the Kamala people here. I'm very worried. I think that there are a lot of unhinged people across the political spectrum, and we gave very little quarter to how many anti-Kamala voters are out there. I don't want to hear the words racism and sexism. It's eyesight and hearing. We were listening and watching her. And I'm very worried that we've not talked a lot about how violent people may be and angry because she lost.
Right.
I'm afraid of that.
Right. I mean, I can just imagine thinking about The View, and a week or so ago, they were saying, you know, what is wrong with someone who would vote for him?
Michelle Obama said.
And Joe Scarborough saying, you know, we weren't raised like this. Who raised these people? So I can only imagine what tomorrow is going to look like.
Yeah. You know, I will say when we talk about The View, you know, what comes to mind is we mentioned the carnage speech that President Trump gave at his inauguration. And my mind automatically went to the unity speech that Biden gave, and he mentioned unity a half dozen times. But when you think about what we got over 4 years, there was the garbage comment that didn't come in isolation. There were all kinds of comments. Neanderthal was one of the first words he used to describe those who opposed his COVID edicts. The Mark Cuban comment, he was an official surrogate of the Kamala campaign. And for, you know, as mean as some of President Donald Trump's tweets have been and people have problems with it, one thing I've challenged Democrats to find is one example of him disparaging the country, half of the country, and that's something he has not done. And so I expect you'll hear a unifying tone, and I expect you're going to see a very successful presidency and one untethered maybe from some of the things that were holding him back. What comes to mind is an Oval Office meeting that we had where Dr. Fauci was urging him not to open the country. And I watched President Trump fight vociferously, saying people are losing their jobs. We must open the country. He wanted to do it sooner than he did. I think that Donald Trump, who goes with his instincts, is going to be a Trump that ultimately leads a very successful country in second term.
You know, Martha, Joe Biden mentioned the word unity more in his inaugural address than any president, I think, except one. If he's serious about that, he'll pardon Donald Trump. He'll also pardon his son. And then he'll put pressure on Georgia and New York to end this lawfare. If there is any silver lining tonight, it is that lawfare actually helps the person that you are trying to go after. We need a justice system. The lady needs to wear a blindfold for a reason. We got to stop this prosecution of our political enemies.
I mean, literally, his polls went up.
Will be the Attorney General.
Absolutely.
We need a really solid Attorney General.
John Ratcliffe.
You can do it.
Sorry, John. Sorry, John. I apologize. Sorry.
There will be a lot of talk about cabinet members, Treasury Secretary, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. You've got Tom Cotton, Mike Pompeo. You have.
Well, you also have a Republican bench. And sometimes, like you were saying, that the Democratic Party is quite old right now. There's not a great bench, although there are some, and especially, but when you take governors out of states, then you leave a hole. And then you have to build up that bench back up. But the Republican bench is pretty strong right now.
There you see Doug Burgum and Vivek Ramaswamy, Steve Wynn, and his lovely wife, Andrea. So people are there waiting for the former president. Britt would like to know where he is.
He's watching us.
Can we say tonight, though, Harold, that the melting pot still works? That Hispanics, Black Americans, working class Americans, you know, standing up, asking what their government is going to do, asking their government to see them and their concerns, that it works, that this is American democracy in our republic working.
The process works. I think as we get a final account of the numbers and the coalition that President Trump won with this time, I think it'll be one that will be for the history books. President Bush, I think, got 40+% of the Hispanic vote. George Bush, W. Bush, and it looks like President, at least the preliminary numbers suggest that. But as much as we talk about the unconventional aspect of this was conventional also. People believed him. He resonated with voters. He resonated with communities, rural communities, urban communities, suburban communities across the country. And I congratulate him tonight. I didn't want him to win, but I congratulate him on his victory and wish him the best for my country. And I can only hope that the concerns that are articulated by my dear friend Kellyanne that they're not realized. I hope that my party and my friends, and for that matter, Republicans alike, that we're all able, once we get past the moment here, the 24 hours of excitement and joy and celebration, to understand that what we're really celebrating is the greatest experiment to have ever come to existence. It'll celebrate 250 years of its own existence in 2026. So those are my thoughts, Brett.
I'm struck by the issue that of abortion, because it was talked about so much, and it was presented as if, you know, you're a woman and you are not going to support her, then you hate all women. They said that husbands, were hateful towards their wives and the women in their lives if they didn't support this candidate. And I think it just goes to show that that kind of, manipulating, it doesn't win
and
people
narrowcasting us based on our gender. I think Kamala Harris was talking to us from the waist down, and I think Donald Trump was talking to us from the waist up as well. That's where my eyes, my ears, my heart, my brain, and my big mouth are. So, I mean, you got to talk to the woman in full. It's as if she doesn't know anything about the economy, or she doesn't care about what's going on in Ukraine or Israel or with Iran, or can't do the math on her grocery bill. It's an insult. Of course people care, but we care about many things. Just as we are not monolithic in life, we're not monolithic thinkers politically. But, Martha, something else happened. They put these ballot initiatives on to try to gin up turnout for the Democrat. And they did that, and it kind of backfired. Look at this popular vote, and it backfired. The other thing is, if you've got 10 abortion ballot initiatives, you can vote your conscience on abortion, and you can vote separately or similarly for president. Yeah, the presidential race was not a proxy for your position on abortion. By the way, somebody sent me the statistics. Over $500 million spent on ads about abortion. $500 million in this country out of the $16 billion Brett is talking about. $37 million for pro-lifers. The rest was the pro-choicers. I mean, it's just insane amount of money.
So we've spent a lot of time talking about markets tonight and with the betting markets. Trey, at this point, it's at about 66% that Republicans hold on to the House as they're ticking down the possibilities, and they look at these coattails with not only the popular vote, but what could be and is shaping up to be an electoral college landslide. Should he control the White House, the Senate, and the House, like he did at the beginning of 2016, the possibilities open to a lot of things.
Yeah, I was there in 2016, and we had everything but an agenda. That mistake will not be made this time. He will deal with the border. He will deal with tax is coming up. There is a plan being formulated by Mike Johnson right now, and John Thune or John Cornyn or whoever becomes the majority leader. The mistakes of 2016, I think we were surprised that he won. I'm not saying he was surprised, but others were surprised. The other thing I will remind you, Brett, when he won in 2016, do you recall what he said about Hillary Clinton? She's been through enough. There was a lot of pressure to prosecute her. He said she's been through enough. I wish my Democrat friends would say the same thing about him and say enough is enough. Drop the cases in New York and Georgia. Biden shouldn't wait on Donald Trump to end these federal cases. They should be ended by Joe Biden. If you really want unity, then quit using lawfare to divide the country. Quit using the justice system to try to win political races.
We are still following these Senate races, and as we wait for the former president, by the way, there's Nigel Farage there talking in the crowd there. Britt, this is remarkable in that some of these races were not even suspected to be close. Expected to be close. Mike Rogers, he was a long shot at one point against Alyssa Slotkin.
Good candidate.
In Michigan, good candidate.
Strong candidate.
Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee.
Right. Attractive guy.
But Sam Brown was left, essentially, he was not going to win.
He was not on anybody's list.
Nope.
Likely switch.
Not getting much money or attention.
No, but I think he's a competent candidate. Once again, we have.
By the way, there's Sam Brown right there, 48.1 to 47.2, 80% in over Jackie Rosen.
It renews our understanding that candidate quality matters.
Yep.
In this cycle, Republicans in the Senate races in particular fielded some pretty darn good candidates that gave them a shot in states where Republicans often face an uphill battle. And the fact that, it looks like it won't be just a squeaker, there might be a little margin there for Republicans in the Senate is testament to that.
Let's see what Wisconsin is, guys. Can we put up Havdi in Wisconsin? Standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President-elect Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and the Trump family, accompanied by Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, Second Lady Usha Vance, along with friends and campaign staff.
These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved them. It is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy? But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again. Oh, we're going to. And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But it's much easier doing what the networks did or whoever called it, because there was no other path. There was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. That was great. Very proud of that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, winning the popular vote was very nice, I will tell you. It's a great feeling of love. We have a great feeling of love in this very large room with unbelievable people standing by my side. These people have been incredible. They've made the journey with me, and we're going to make you very happy. We're going to make you very proud of your vote. I hope that you're going to be looking back someday and say that was one of the truly important moments of my life when I voted for this group of people beyond the president, this group of great people. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, were all won by the MAGA movement. They helped so much. And in those cases, every one of them, we worked with the senators. They were tough races, and I mean, the number of victories in the Senate was absolutely incredible. And we did tele-rallies. We did tele-rallies with each one of them. And sometimes we did 2 or 3 and it was amazing to look at all of those victories. Nobody expected that. Nobody. So I just wanted to thank you very much for that. And you have some great senators and some great new senators. And it also looks like we'll be keeping control of the House of Representatives. And I want to thank Mike Johnson. I think he's doing a terrific job. Terrific job. I want to also thank my beautiful wife, Melania, First Lady. Who has the #1 best-selling book in the country. Can you believe that? Oh, no, she's done a great job, works very hard to help people. So I just want to thank her. But I want to thank my whole family, my amazing children, and they are amazing children. Now, we all think our children are amazing. Everybody here thinks their children are amazing, but that's a good thing when you think they are. But Don, Eric, Ivanka, Tiffany, Barron, Laura, Jared, Kimberly, Michael, thank you all. What a help. What a great job. My father-in-law, Victor, is tremendous, and we miss very much Melania's mother, Amalia. We miss Amalia, don't we, huh? She would be very happy right now, standing on this stage. She'd be so proud. She was a great woman, that one. Beautiful inside and out. She was a great woman. I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States, J.D. Vance. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha Vance. And he's a feisty guy, isn't he? You know, I've said, go into the enemy camp. And you know, the enemy camp is certain networks. And a lot of people don't like to, sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay. Which one? CNN, MSDNC? He'll say, all right, thank you very much. He actually looks like, he's still like the only guy I've ever seen. He really looks forward to it, and then he just goes in and absolutely obliterates them. Say a couple of words.
Wild. Well, Mr. President, I appreciate you allowing me to join you on this incredible journey. I thank you for the trust that you placed in me. And I think that we just witnessed the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America. And under President Trump's leadership, we're never going to stop fighting for you, for your dreams, for the future of your children. And after the greatest political comeback in American history, we're going to lead the greatest economic comeback in American history under Donald Trump's leadership.
Thank you very much. He's turned out to be a good choice. I took a little heat at the beginning, but he was, I knew the brain was a good one, about as good as it gets. And we love the family, and we're going to have a great 4 years, and we're going to turn our country around, make it something very special. It lost that little thing called special. We have to make it so. We're going to make this so great. It's the greatest country, and potentially the greatest country in the world by far. And right now, we're going to just work very hard to get all of that back. We're going to make it the best it's ever been. We can do that. If we had to wait longer, I don't know. It was going bad, and it was going bad fast. We're going to have to seal up those borders, and we're going to have to let people come into our country. We want people to come back in, but we have to let them come back in, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in legally. Let me also express my tremendous appreciation for Susie and Chris, the job you did. Susie, come here. Come here, Susie. Chris, come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay sort of in the back, let me tell you. The Ice Maiden. We call her the Ice Maiden. Come here, Chris. Come here, Chris. Susie likes to stay in the background. She's not in the background. Come here,
This wasn't expected, but I just want to thank, obviously, President Trump for this journey. It was a great one, and he's a hell of a candidate, and he's going to be a hell of a great 47th president. And this team that we had, the best team, and, of course, even my boss, Susie Wiles, the best. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Susie. Look at her. She's shy. I've never seen her be shy before. Susie. They're great. Everybody up here is great. Everybody up here is very special. But the Trump, who did you say? Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. No, he is. No, he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania campaigning. You know, he sent the rocket up 2 weeks ago, and I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. I saw it. It was, when it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. When it came down, it didn't look so pretty. It was going 10,000 miles an hour, and it was burning like hell. I said, what happened to your paint job? He said, we've never made a paint that could withstand that kind of heat. And but I saw it come down and turn around. And it was, you know, it's like 22 stories tall, by the way. It looks a little smaller than that, but it's big. And it came down, and you saw that fire burning. And I'm saying, only Elon can do this. It must be an Elon. And I tell the story. I told it last night. I had a man on the phone. I had the screen muted, no sound. I was talking to a very important man, happens to be here. And that very important guy, one of the most important people in, I would say, the country, actually. But, you know, I was president, and now it looks like I was going to be maybe president again, so I figured I could ask him to hold. So I asked him to hold. And because, especially because you're going to be president again, they hold. So I took the phone down, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm seeing this crazy thing that's going around and coming down. It looks like it's going to crash into the gantry. And I said, oh, no. And I said, do me a favor, do you mind holding for a couple of minutes? I want to see this. I thought it was a space-age movie or something. I put the phone down. Bad part, I didn't pick it up for 45 minutes, and he was holding. But this spaceship came down, and I saw those engines firing, and it looked like it was over. It was going to smash, and then I saw the fire pour out from the left side, and I put it straight, and it came down so gently, and then it wrapped those arms around it, and it held it, and just like you hold your baby at night, your little baby. And it was a beautiful thing to see, and I called Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He said, yes, it was. I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can the United States do it other than you? No, nobody can do that. I said, that's why I love you, Elon. That's great. And you know, when we had the tragic Hurricane Helene, and it hit North Carolina, they were really devastated, the water. This was a big water, as big as we've ever seen, water hurricane. It built lakes out of nothing. Fields became lakes, and the danger was unbelievable. And the people from North Carolina came to me and they said, would it be possible, at all possible, for you to speak to Elon Musk? We need Starlink. I said, what's Starlink? It's a form of communication. So I called Elon, and I'll tell you what, he had, and it was very dangerous. People would die. They had no communication. All the wires were down. I called Elon Musk. I said, Elon, you have something called Starlink. Is that right? Yes, I do. What the hell is it? He said, it's a communication system that's very good. I said, Elon, they need it really, really badly in North Carolina. Can you get it? He had that there so fast. It was incredible. So, and it was great. It saved a lot of lives. He saved a lot of lives. But he's a character. He's a special guy. He's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them. We have to protect our super geniuses. I want to thank some of the guys. You know, we have up here today the U.S. Open champion. He's a fantastic golfer. He's slightly longer than me. It's a ball, a little bit longer than me. Just a little bit. Bryson DeChambeau is up here someplace. What happened to Bryson? Where is he? Bryson. Oh, he was shot. He's hitting balls. Oh, he's on the way. He's hitting balls. Bryson. Oh, look at him. He's got a great career going. Great U.S. Open, Bryson. That's a fantastic job. And we also have a man, Dana White, who has done some job. He's a tough guy. So Dana started UFC, and came to me, do you mind if I use your... Nobody wanted to give him a rinse because they said it's a rough sport, a little rough. And I helped him out a little bit, and I went, and they said, this is the roughest sport I've ever seen, but I began to like it, and he loved it, and nobody's done a better job in sports. And you know, he's a very motivational kind of a guy, what he does. He gets these fighters, and they really go at it, and it's become one of the most successful sports enterprises anywhere at any time. It's doing so well. I'd like to ask Dana just to say a couple of words, because people love to hear from him. Dana, please.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hard-working man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family. I want to thank some people real quick. I want to thank the Nelp boys, Aiden Ross, Theo Vaughn, Bussin' with the boys, and last but not least, the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan. And thank you, America. Thank you. Have a good night.
That is a piece of work. No, he's really an amazing guy. But most of all, I want to thank the millions of hardworking Americans across the nation who have always been the heart and soul of this really great movement. We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory like like no other. This was something special, and we're gonna pay you back. We're gonna do the best job. We're gonna turn it around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around fast, and we're gonna turn it around. We're gonna do it in every way, so many ways, but we're gonna do it in every way. This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country. So I just want to say that on behalf of this great group of people, these are hard-working people. These are fantastic people, and we can add a few names like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He came in. And he's going to help make America healthy again. And now he's a great guy, and he really means it. He wants to do some things, and we're going to let him go to it. I just said, but, Bobby, leave the oil to me. We have more liquid gold, oil and gas. We have more liquid gold than any country in the world, more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. Bobby, stay away from the liquid gold. Other than that, go have a good time, Bobby. We're going to be paying down debt. We're going to be reducing taxes. We can do things that nobody else can do. Nobody else is going to be able to do it. China doesn't have what we have. Nobody has what we have. But we have the greatest people also. Maybe that's the most important thing. This campaign has been so historic in so many ways. We've built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen it. Young and old, men and women, rural and urban. And we had them all helping us tonight. When you think, I mean, I was looking at it, I was watching it. They had some great analysis of the people that voted for us. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. They came from all corners, union, non-union, African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Arab American, Muslim American. We had everybody, and it was beautiful. It was a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense. We want to have borders. We want to have security. We want to have things be good, safe. We want great education. We want a strong and powerful military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars. 4 years we had no wars. except we defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS in record time, but we had no wars. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. But this is also a massive victory for democracy and for freedom. Together, we're going to unlock America's glorious destiny, and we're going to achieve the most incredible future for our people. Yesterday, as I stood at my last stop on the campaign trail, I'll never be doing a rally again. Can you believe it? I think we've done 900 rallies approximately from them. Can you imagine? 901, something, a lot of rallies. And it was sad. Everybody was sad. Many people, I said, this is our last rally. But now we're going on to something that's far more important, because the rallies were used for us to be put in this position where we can really help our country. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our country better than it ever has been. And I said that many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit, and fight that I have in my soul to the job that you've entrusted to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. This is the most important job in the world. Just as I did in my first term, we had a great first term, a great, great first term. I will govern by a simple motto: promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We're going to try. We have to try. And it's going to happen. Success will bring us together. I've seen that. I've seen that. I saw that in the first term when we became more and more successful. People started coming together. Success is going to bring us together, and we are going to start by all putting America first. We have to put our country first for at least a period of time. We have to fix it. Because together we can truly make America great again for all Americans. So I want to just tell you what a great honor this is. I want to thank you. I will not let you down. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
and 10 from Minnesota, which the AP called for the vice president just moments ago as Trump was speaking. It also includes 1 electoral vote from Maine's 2nd congressional district for Donald Trump. So here to dissect all of this with me is yet again Sagar Meghani. Sagar, I want to talk first about this call in Pennsylvania. That's one of those states we've been talking about all night. The AP has determined that